Market Square. At the heart of Old Rochford lies the medieval Market Square. Sir Guy de Rochford obtained permission from Henry III for the market in 1247, where the square played host to a historic weekly cattle and livestock sale every Tuesday, Thursday, and at Whitsun. Being the only one for 20 miles around, the market was hugely popular, bringing in folk from the surrounding towns and the villages, as well as further afield. The atmosphere was alive with commotion of trade, a wild cacophony of animals grunting and bleating as children poked them with sticks. While musicians and acrobats busked for their keep, the many taverns were crowded with merchants and locals revelling in the weekly spectacle. Anything of importance happened right here in the square. If you stand a while, you may be able to imagine it bustling as the public engaged excitedly in local public announcements, general socialising, fairs, and a circus. There were a couple of recorded fires here that scorched their way through the architecture. The accidental Great Fire of 1884 caused wide-scale damage to the old wooden buildings on the north side of the square. Then the second, a bonfire lit in 1900 to celebrate the relief of Makin, got seriously out of hand, and panic ensued once barrels of tar were added to help the blaze along. Bystanders had to take quick action to prevent serious damage to the buildings as molten tar ran down West Street. Then there was the public burning of a man too, as the 1500s witnessed the execution of a religious martyr in the square. An ancient wooden market house built in 1707 stood centrally in the square, housing livestock and a barber's shop. During the 18th century, it was also home to the town fire engine. Wool was weighed upstairs. The house was demolished in 1861, having been ravaged by time. Present-day Market Square is a quiet comparison. The livestock market finally closed for good in 1959. Market Day continues its tradition every Tuesday, offering locals a small range of stalls. It's still set in the square, surrounded by an eclectic mix of buildings. The old village pump, installed in 1820, was removed in 1902. Today you can see an authentic reproduction made and donated by Adrian Chapman. It sits next to the original horse trough, where folk would have once queued, chatting and laughing while they waited for their turn to draw water for their homes and livestock. In later years, villagers were charged 1 farthing a pailful. Documented at a depth of 370 feet, the condemned original artisan well still remains silently beneath the tarmac in the square, one of many wells in the area. In the late 1960s, the rickety cottages on the east side, where you once purchased your coach ticket to London, were torn down, making way for the first supermarket. Today, the east side, with its 1960s architecture, is unmistakable. The buildings of the north side have changed over time. In July 1884, the Great Fire started in an old oil store and destroyed the majority of the row. It was the arrival of the army with a large quantity of hose that enabled the fire to be brought under control. The 1970s saw outcry as the owner of a saddler's shop decided to demolish it. Being done on a Sunday, the council couldn't halt the demolition. Today's buildings accommodate the butcher, the post office and a jeweller's, amongst the divided collection of shops and offices. The west side is now dominated by the red brick Georgian Connaught House, 34 West Street, and is adjoined by an aesthetically pleasing Georgian-style new build that replaced the ancient cottage named Fernbank. The south side retains the buildings of greatest interest. Here you will find the Victorian Barclays Bank, built in 1853, and the Women's Institute Hall, built in 1866, alongside the historic King's Head Inn, whose origin predates 1700, as well as a huddle of old-world cottage-style shops.